Many thanks for still staying with us on the program Daybreak Extra this morning, and we're moving over to our phone line discussion, open line discussion, I beg your pardon. And the topic we're looking at today this morning is breastfeeding and its health benefit on children. And I'm sure you're well aware that 1st of August through to 7th is World Breastfeeding Week. And the theme for the World Breastfeeding Week 2023 is Let's Make Breastfeeding and Work. I hope you understand that. This year's campaign focuses on promoting practices that can help support workplace-related breastfeeding in different countries. Women should not have to choose between breastfeeding their children and their work. I think we have to find a way around making the two work without having to let one go for the other. Now, World Breastfeeding Week is held in the first week of August every year, just like as I earlier stated, supported by WHO, UNICEF, and many ministries of health and civil society partners. This year's theme will focus on breastfeeding and work, providing a strategic opportunity to advocacy for essential maternity rights that support breastfeeding. Now, I would like to know what is your take on allowing women breastfeed at Workspace? What do you think about that? And women, how are you coping with work and breastfeeding? Let's hear from you. How do you cope? What are the challenges you're facing? What can be done to change this narrative? Yeah, and then breast milk has a vital health and nutritional benefits for children with positive lifelong impacts, building healthier populations. Now, to join this conversation, you can call or drop a WhatsApp message via the phone number showing on your TV screen, 08079927766. As you call, please do stay away from your TV set to enable us hear you well. Let us hear your take on this World Breastfeeding Week and its effect on working class mothers.
Milk, containing, all the vital
nutrients.
Is that the reason why the baby on the screen feels like he's going to heaven?
I know.
And I'll talk about breastfeeding and work. Whether you like it or not, it's actually sad to note that some companies don't even allow that. They don't encourage that. They don't even encourage, which I feel it's a crime, if you ask me. They don't encourage women on maternity leave, not to talk of, women bringing them to work, bringing their babies to work, and also breastfeeding
Not to
them.
Call out any institution by name out, but then I was hearing, we have a caller. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the program. Can we have your name and your location, please? Okay, we've lost that particular call, but do well to call us back through the numbers displayed on your screen. And please, when you do call, stay away from your devices so we can hear ourselves better. So, and we want more women to call in. Yes, because this is just basically about breastfeeding. I would like to hear from the women. What are the challenges you're facing? Okay, we have another caller on the line. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Good morning. Okay, we've lost that call again. I don't understand why we're losing calls this morning.
I think it's a network issue.
Okay.
But yes, do well to actually call in. And please, when you call in, try to move away from your TV or even turn down or turn off the volume of your TV. Okay, because we're communicating via phone and not via TV. There would be a serious delay if you decide to wait to listen to us, on your TV before you give us an answer.
Just like I was saying earlier, I was hearing within the banking sector, it's like it's not really easy for the bankers, the mothers there. Oh, we do have another call. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well.
Hello.
Please stay away from your TV. Turn off the volume, please. Turn down the volume. All right, please, when you turn down the volume, please feel free to call us back. Okay, so
in the banking sector, I was told just yesterday or day before yesterday when I heard from someone that they don't really have a space for breastfeeding. Okay.
All right, hello, good morning. Please turn down the volume of your TV and then call us back, okay? All right, so you're talking about the banking space. Well, there are actually some banks that actually encourage it, but because I've actually been to banks where I've seen some workers come with helps to the bank, but there's actually a little space, or they go to the kitchen to stay with the babies or something.
But that's not even what it's supposed to be.
Yes, when you talk about creating a space for nursing mothers, I don't think a lot of companies in Nigeria actually do that.
And this is part of the demands for this celebration. We're asking the government to, workplace management to create, is it a crèche or some space for breastfeeding mothers? Yes.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Please tell us your name and location. Okay, if you know, if your network is actually, if you're having issues with your network, please, you can send messages to the number on your screen, a WhatsApp message to the number on your screen, okay? Hello, good morning. All right. All right, so, you know, they're actually, okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak Extra. Please, what's your name and location?
My name is Kabiru Sani. I'm calling from Adamawa State in Gombe local government.
All right, Kabiru from Adamawa. Please go ahead with your take.
Yeah, I'm supporting this issue that you are discussing on it because it's good to allow women to breastfeeding during the work.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
So how do you think workplace management, what measures do you think they can put in place to support women to breastfeed during when they are working?
Yeah, at least they have to give them time at least, because breastfeeding is a kind of getting time from time to time to give the baby to breastfeed at least.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kabiru, for your contribution. We really appreciate you, you know, tuning in and taking time out to give us your reaction on this topic. Very, very important. Organizations need to, you know, put nursing mothers or even pregnant women, you know, look at their well-being and also, you know, take care of them in one way or the other as well.
I think one of the demands for this year's celebration is also about approval of 6 months paid maternity leave. Not just maternity leave now, 6 months paid maternity leave.
Wow. All right, we'll talk about that. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. What's your name and location?
Good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Mr. Andrew. I'm calling from Ketu, Nasarawa State.
Hamza?
I'm Mr. Andrew. I'm calling from Ketu,
All right,
Nasarawa
Mr.
State.
Andrew. Yes, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, it's about the program to the women they are allowed to breastfeed at workplace. Let's say for me it is a good one, because there's not how you can drive the child to the right. Therefore, women should be given space to breastfeed their child when the need arises.
Okay, we really cannot hear what you're saying because you sound very, very low. Yes, we really can't make out what you're saying, Mr. Andrew, but we appreciate you taking time to call us. Thank you so much.
So, and then I was telling you earlier about the 6 months paid maternity leave, and also they were one of the demands. I was at the walk yesterday, and then one of the demands was also
What walk?
World Breastfeeding Work. We had a work yesterday in Abuja, where right from the Federal Ministry of Health, and then we spoke with people at the ministry, and then we went around to other parts of the city where some of this NGO, some of the civil society organizations, they helped in passing the message, spreading the word on the importance of breastfeeding, and also how it is needed, relevant to create enabling environment for working mothers.
You know, talking about breastfeeding, I actually met someone recently, and I don't know, I actually felt what he said was distasteful, if you ask me, because he was talking about breastfeeding. He said you can breastfeed your child for 2 months and then feed the child formula, and the child is going to be very, very smart. In fact, the child might end up being a lot smarter than other children. That's the reason why they push for breastfeeding exclusive for 6 months, is because of the poor people who can't afford to feed and everything.
You see, these are the myths surrounding breastfeeding that people do not understand, and we need to debunk some of these myths. Because yesterday during the walk, I spoke with UNICEF and people from the nutrition team, and also directors at the Federal Ministry of Health, and then they were saying it is very important to understand that 6 months exclusive breastfeeding is 6 months exclusive breastfeeding without the introduction of any fluid whatsoever apart from the breast milk. The breast milk has everything it needs, everything the baby needs.
And that was the argument, actually. I was like, you're talking about, it being for the poor. So why are they pushing it for everybody and not just the poor people? Everybody is advised to do 6 months
exclusive breastfeeding.
You're saying 2 months. What would the baby feed on? You start feeding him what?
And then
it's not just about the milk and the nutrients. There's a bond that's actually being formed when the baby is breastfeeding, and a lot of other things actually goes into it, and it helps the baby be healthier.
Yes. And then I also got to learn that the breast milk contains I think some antibiotics, according to what the experts were saying yesterday, that you don't even have to take your babies to the hospital once you maintain that exclusive breastfeeding. And then you also have to breastfeed optimally. So after the 6 months, what happens next? It is expected that there is the introduction of complementary food alongside the breast milk. So it is expected that you breastfeed exclusively for 6 months without introduction of any fluid whatsoever apart from the breast milk, because the breast milk itself has water in it.
Exactly.
So you don't have to introduce extra water.
There's a lot of percentage. There's a lot of percentage there.
So
there are lots of myths that actually needs to be debunked, whether we like it or not. But then that's why we talked about, being aware, and then, the relevant organizations going round to educate people, women and breastfeeding mothers, on what they need to do and how it should be done. It's very, very important.
And that is why it is necessary that this the theme of this year's celebration is focusing on working mothers, parents. How do we create support, enabling environments to ensure that they still achieve this breastfeeding exclusively and optimally?
Well, we talked about, how some companies don't even encourage that. I think the reason why is because, the mothers, when their babies are around, they have to leave the work they're doing, especially in banking sector they're talking about. They have to leave a customer, the work they're doing, and they have to go and tender to their baby when baby's crying, when baby is hungry. And babies get hungry, especially boys. They actually get hungry a lot sooner than you can actually think. So but it's you talked about 6 months. 6 months
paid maternity leave.
There are actually countries that actually do that.
And I think it's been implemented the maternity leave, I think for 6 months it's been implemented in some states in the country. I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 6 states. But then they're demanding for paid maternity leave for 6 months now, so that
so how is it in those states? Is it 3 months paid and 3 months unpaid?
In those states, I think the state governments, they are trying to encourage the civil servants that work in the mothers there to know that, okay, regardless of the challenges you're facing at work, we still create support for you to know that, okay, yes, you're breastfeeding, at the same time you can still deliver on your work. So we have a caller on the line. Good morning, and where are you calling us from? Hello. Okay, we have lost that call again.
So taking a look at the news, we also have the federal government is set to approve 6 months paid maternity leave. They said it has to be, they want it to be compulsory, by the way, 6 months. And makes a lot of sense, if you ask me. You also have Kaduna State and Borno State. Kaduna State actually pushing for the private sector to give nursing mothers or pregnant women 6 months maternity leave so that they can have time to bond well with the child. And then and after that, I don't think the child is going to be too much of a bother. And also in Borno State, they're actually set to implement the 6 months maternity.
And I think why this is coming to the fore now in northeast Nigeria alone, we're seeing the cases of malnutrition. UNICEF came out and rolled out figures of children who are malnourished. So, but then if we cater to these mothers and then if we ensure that they breastfeed well, I think the issue of malnutrition will be drastically reduced.
Okay, but another question that is actually being asked is, does the maternity leave, if they end up getting the 6 months maternity leave, is it the same thing as the annual leave? What happens to the annual leave? Will they still get it? Or
I guess that's going to be within the organization.
But private sectors, I'm sure a lot of private sectors would find it difficult to implement this.
It's true, though.
They will find it very difficult to implement this.
However, but then we're still asking, I think the message is about creating enabling environments, regardless of whether this maternity leave that the federal government is set to put in place, regardless of if it's going to work in private places, but at least we're looking at how workplace management within the private sector can create enabling environments for these breastfeeding mothers. And good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
My name is Christian Charlton at the Master.
Christian, welcome to the program. What's your take on breastfeeding and what do you think are the measures that should be put in place by workplace management to support breastfeeding women?
Yes, thank you for the program. But you people have forgotten a lot. Their fathers should take good care of their wives, because without them eating good food, they are not able to feed their children. It is where at least we men were lacking. Let them be better food in order to give our children the best. God help you all. Thank you for the program.
All right, thank you so much for that program. Yes.
And then I think his contribution there is talking about how fathers can also help. Yes, because it's not just about the mothers now. It's about how the father and the mother can help to ensure that these children are well fed.
Okay. So, fathers are actually getting like a few days paternity leave, all thanks to...
And during the walk yesterday, some people were clamoring for one month paternity leave.
Yes, okay, it's not a bad thing if the father is going to be 100% committed and helpful to the mother.
And then I also learned it aids in bonding.
Yeah, but most fathers, all they want is, okay, I'll provide for you, I'll do whatever, I'll give you whatever, however amount you want, whichever amount you want.
And it's not just about money.
But they don't really help out. They don't help, change diapers, they don't help cuddle the baby to sleep. And
help with other chores in the house. Okay.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello?
Good morning and thank you for joining us. What's your name and location?
My name is Elaine. I'm calling from Bauchi.
All right. Thank you so much for calling us all the way from Bauchi. Please go ahead with your reaction. Hello? All right.
Okay. It looks like we have more men calling in this morning.
Called to, say hi.
but then I think more men have to see this as also a responsibility on their part.
Most men will not. And I don't think most men will want to, take 1 month off to stay at home. I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't think so. So, well, the good thing is the Oyo State government has already approved, since 2020, they've approved the 6-month maternity leave, which is actually, a step in the right direction. We're talking about men, helping out, at home. Most times they know there's family around to help with Omuga and everything. And, they also have lots of helps around. So,
but how many families can actually afford lots of helps around?
That's why I said family come in to help. Other family members come in to help. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello? All right, please feel free to send in your messages. The number is actually displayed on our screen. Okay, so feel free to send messages as well. All right, we have this message and it says, I don't think there is any problem about that, but the only thing is that they should find a safer place to breastfeed their babies.
Exactly.
Right,
safety
when you're
is
sending
relevant.
messages as well, please make sure you include your name and where you're sending the message
and
from.
we have this message from Aliasau Garba from Maiduguri, and he says, good morning. Breast milk helps keep one's baby healthy. It protects against sickness and obesity. It protects against diseases like diabetes and cancer. It protects against infections like ear infections, among others. Okay, I don't know if this person is a doctor, but then he's telling us the benefits of breastfeeding and why it is necessary that every breastfeeding mother breastfeeds their child. Well, we're still looking forward to taking more messages and calls from you. But the conversation is still on, and it is very pertinent that we keep telling people, we keep encouraging, and we'll find solutions. You know, how can workplace management ensure that they create the enabling environment for working mothers? There has been suggestions, creation of crèche. There's been other suggestions, you know, paid maternity leave for 6 months, among others. But we have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Where are you calling us from?
Good morning.
Can you hear? You need to move away from your TV set, please. We can't hear you. I guess we lost that call. So we're going back to the WhatsApp messages, and then we have this message from Mike, and he's from Abuja. He said, thank you guys for this information. I'm having the same issues here with my wife. Concerned these issues of breastfeeding. After the breastfeeding, can a baby take any normal food apart from the children food we used to know? Those if we have any after effects if you give the baby normal food. Well, I don't understand this particular question. You're saying after breastfeeding. Are you saying your wife is still how old is the baby? If the baby is less than 6 months, it is not advisable for you to introduce any other thing apart from the breast milk. But then if you're talking about complementary food, which is shortly after the 6 months exclusive breastfeeding, I guess you'll have to contact a nutritionist in that regard. Now we're moving over to the next message. We have, hello, Dr. Mrs. Jakada PT from Kano State. I think the women should be provided with a feeding room at their workplaces if the 6 months leave is not approved. Well, that's another way to go about it. That's what this theme is really about. Yes, safety and privacy.
Mm-hmm. Very, very important as well. Now, thank you so much, Dr. Mrs. Jakada, for your message. Please feel free to send in more messages if you can on WhatsApp on the number displayed, or call in. When you call in, move away from your TV set, turn the volume down, or turn off your TV so that we can actually hear what you have to say about this particular topic we're discussing. Talking about breastfeeding. Mm-hmm. Like somebody that asked about whether feeding the baby after breastfeeding. Yes, it's very, very important. It's actually very, very important you complement breastfeeding, because once the baby is 6 months, even from 4 months, these babies have a voracious, appetite. Mm-hmm. You know, they tend to look for more.
Right.
Even after, taking breast milk. So they will need more. If not, they'll just...
Yes, it's going to be really overwhelming on the mothers. That's why there is the introduction of complementary feeding. However, some nutritionists say this does not mean not mean that you take away the breast milk.
No, you can still do that.
It's just to complement the breast milk.
And mothers are actually advised to breastfeed for over a year. Over a year, very, very important. And you have some people, it depends, it actually depends. You have some babies who actually need more breastfeed than others.
And then we have some maternity leave benefits, where that is what we're this is a list of benefits why there is need for maternity leave. For benefits for mother now, there is a lower risk of postpartum depression, which is something that is not really talked about. There is this postpartum depression that comes after child delivery, and then a lower risk of marital problems. We'll get back to the benefits for maternity leave after taking this call. Good morning, and where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
Okay. I'm calling from Abuja.
Okay, welcome to the
My name is
program.
Marco. Thank you.
So let's have your contribution.
I think, women should be allowed to breastfeed in their workplace, and the importance of breastfeeding to the baby. I once worked somewhere, and I know they have a PhD, and the unit had to make it exclusively for breastfeeding women, so that they have a kind of a secretion. Like somebody got into a stage that for the specificity and what's the point they gave. But I think having a rule is very good for that. I mean, breastfeeding women.
Okay.
I think that will help them and the baby as well. And by so doing, it will give a better attention to their job. So when they're there, they know they're breastfeeding, and they're done, they're back to work.
Okay.
So even that chance is very good.
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Now, back to the maternity leave benefits. I was talking about it earlier, and I said there's lower risk of postpartum depression and lower risk of marital problems.
When you talk about postpartum depression, lower risk? How is that possible? Because,
okay. Let me explain to you.
I've seen, cases where immediately after the mother actually gives birth, depression sets in. Immediately after, even before breastfeeding.
I think I'll get back to that. Let us speak to this caller. Good morning. Where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Good morning. My name is Mohammed. I'm calling from Abuja.
Mohammed, welcome to the program. Let us hear your contribution.
Hello. My name is Mohammed. Dr. Mohammed. I'm calling from Abuja. My name is Mohammed. I'm calling from Abuja.
Yes, we heard that. Welcome to the program and let us have your contribution, please.
My contribution towards your program.
Yes, we're talking about.
My contribution towards your program. The program is very impressive, and I'm very happy to hear.
Okay, thank you so much. So, what's your contribution on the topic of discuss? Okay.
The observation is that why should a woman not allowed to breastfeed?
She's not being stopped to breastfeed. You know, we're just talking about creating an enabling environment in a workplace for them to be able to do it seamlessly. Like a small room where they can actually take their babies to breastfeed, a safe environment and a clean space in workplaces. They don't actually have that. Some workplaces don't have that.
Okay, if you know what? Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about that?
All right, thank you so much, Mohammed, for calling us. I think he was actually still watching his TV while he was
joining.
Okay, us, yes.
So now we're talking about the federal government set to approving 6 months paid maternity leave, and then for the benefits, you did say you don't understand postpartum depression. You know, postpartum depression sets in just immediately after giving birth. Yeah, but the need for this maternity leave. Let's say the woman is allowed more time to herself. And then the husband finds a way to ensure that for the depression that some of these women face, they find measures to take care of that. So if you give them more time to spend at home, it lowers the risk of postpartum depression.
Okay, so how about lowering the risk of marital problems? How does that help?
You know,
they get to spend time with the father and everything, but it works both ways. If the father is also available, then it helps, with the whole thing.
And then there's also benefits for the baby. There's lower infant mortality rate, especially for new mothers. There's time for you to have some attachment with your baby. Okay. And then we have a caller now. Good morning, and where are you calling us from? Okay, so back to the benefits for babies. Like I said, there's lower infant mortality rate because once you give the mother more time, the mother has the necessary time needed to cater to the needs of this baby. Yeah. So there's the reduction of...
Yes, he also talks about, the nutrients actually helps keep the baby's immune system strong, enough for it to be able to grow well.
Yes.
And
then there's a place of bonding between the mother and the child, and also the father too. So there's more attachment time with mother, and it aids development. And then there are also higher chances of being exclusively breastfed and becoming healthier. And then for the mother, there's waist stability, and it strengthens resolve to work and be productive. Yes. So if you're sure that this 6 months that you've been given to cater to your child, there is money in it. You're being paid for it.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
And then for the statistics, like I said earlier, there's for child mortality, there is child death under the age of 5 per 1,000 live births. And for Nigeria alone, we have 72, and for Ghana, it's 33, and South Africa, it's 26. And we have these figures coming from the World Health Organization, and it's really, really, really alarming for child deaths under the age of 5 per 1,000 live births to be 72% in Nigeria.
That's quite high. It's quite high. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak Extra. Yes, what's your name and location?
Yes. Okay, my name is Bashir Abdullahi, calling from Federal Medical Center, Kiri.
Okay. All right, Bashir, let's have your contribution.
Okay. Please, I don't know. What I want to say is, this issue of finding a place for this for female to breastfeed their children, I think it's a very good idea.
Okay.
A very good one. I think you are coming up with something very, very meaningful, Gestia. And I will have to commend you for that. And I heard you talking about allowing women to go for 6 months also. Please, why are you guys not including the guys?
That's what we're saying. For men,
it's for parents.
For men, 1 month. Yes.
Yeah. So there's been calls for paternity leave to be 1 month, and then for maternity leave should be 6 months paid. Hello, Bashir? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for calling in.
What about the men?
Particular about the men. And then regarding workplace management, I also got to speak with a nurse at a particular health facility, and then she did say that in her own facility there, it is expected that you come into work 8 a.m. But for nursing mothers, you can come in 10 o'clock, and you're expected to close 4 o'clock, but they close 1 o'clock, which I think is good. And then I think she also mentioned that there's a particular section of the hospital where mothers are allowed to go. It's private, and it's secure, and it's safe. It's also clean. Mothers are allowed to breastfeed their children there. From time to time, you get to work, and you're also able to breastfeed.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, what's your name and your location? All right, we seem to be having serious issues with the network.
But then you can reach us via the WhatsApp platform. And then this particular message is from Abdul Kutta from Mina, Niger State. He says, mothers should be allowed to lactate their babies at workplace. In fact, it is a fundamental right of these babies to be lactated by their working mothers. Every organization should create a nursing space for nursing mothers as practiced in other climes. Yes.
We also have this 6-month breastfeeding is a product of research done by Sub-Saharan Africa, where dehydration is a problem of its own, and that's from Dr. Babagana Barbara. And yes, so you see what I talked about when people actually say, when that friend of mine actually said that women who are encouraged to actually do 6 months exclusive are poor and rural areas.
Right.
Yeah. So this actually...
So this person is talking about the sub-Saharan region.
Yes,
so what happens
was a research done there, and they advised due to dehydration to breastfeed their babies exclusively. When they can't get water, just breastfeed the baby.
Okay, so I guess the calls are still ongoing, and it is pertinent, it is very important that government, institutions, workplaces see the need to implement some of these measures to ensure that there is enabling environment for working mothers to exclusively and optimally breastfeed their babies. It is advised that from age 0 to 6 months, there should be exclusive breastfeeding, and then after 6 months, there should be optimal breastfeeding where you introduce some of this complementary food. And then also some nutritionists have come out to say that whilst you introduce this food, you need to study your baby's health. You need to study your baby's, you know, what if you're giving a particular food to your baby, you should check, is your baby allergic to this food? Can your baby actually digest this food? If not, you need to ensure, okay, these are the kind of foods that I should introduce to my baby alongside the breastfeeding. It's not just about breastfeeding alone. It's not just about giving the food, because the food is just a complementary food. It's breastfeeding is still the main thing, and then this should be done, you know, up to 2 years of age, if you can.
All right, so now there's actually this particular report here that talks about how compared to other African nations, Nigeria has relatively progressive maternity leave policy, which is on paper. You know, we talked about a few states still trying to, you know, walk through giving these women 6 months, but some states actually have, very few states. But then they talked about women being employed in the federal civil service being entitled to 16 weeks maternity leave at full pay. 16 weeks is equivalent to 4 months.
That's about 3 months.
Is it
okay,
4 months?
4 months. That's
4
about
months.
4 months.
Yes, when mothers return to work and they can take 2 hours off a day to breastfeed. Now in Lagos, Oyo, Kaduna and Ekiti states, public servants enjoy up to 6 months paid maternity leave. I talked about Oyo State.
Some states earlier.
Yeah, mothers working in private, non-profit or informal sectors have more limited benefits. Now, under the country's Labour Act, mothers employed outside of the public sector are entitled to 12 weeks off, which is 3 months. Now, they're entitled to half pay if they've worked to their employer for at least 6 months. But you know, the thing is, even after that, some employers still pay half pay, even if they've worked for, you know, years on end, and which is actually wrong. Now, but not only is this law weakly enforced, the limited maternity payments often aren't enough for a woman to afford to stay at home. Imagine being, you know, earning 100,000 naira, and then after working for years, you know, you get married, get pregnant, and then you're given you're paid 50,000 naira because you don't work. I think the full payment should actually suffice, because this is when you actually need the money for a lot of things. Go to the supermarkets right now. Diapers are very, very expensive.
Yes.
Formulas are very, very expensive. You know, feeding itself is even expensive. So you need the full pay right now. Okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Thank you for joining us. What's your name and location?
Hello.
We can hear you. What is your name and location?
My name is Naibi Kerejawa. I'm calling from Bauchi, Azare specifically.
All right. Let's have your contribution on the topic of discussion.
Yes, my observation is in regard to the mortality rate of the infant. You see, when you are talking about the 6 months maternity leave for our dear woman, it's very, very important to have even more than that. But what I observe is that if they are going to be given 6 months officially at their purpose, how are they going to be controlled in their household? But there are husbands and society environment they are living. You know, some women are working to get not their workplace. So I think despite all these things, the government has to come in for that woman. In fact, when they are giving maternity leave, so that at a barrier, take a more of so that the children, our young offspring, are going to be raised the perfect way. So the poverty and the situation we are in to observe, there is no rest, perfect rest for a woman who gives birth to look back to the society, especially the hamlet area. So I think going by this, at least something, a kind of financial help has to come in so that the women are going to be encouraged with something like that, what used to be from hospitals and many other places. Because it has been stopped. It's no longer being given to the woman when give birth. And most of the women are not giving enough food to eat. Even the husband, the work they are doing is not enough to sustain the household. So going by this, I think even if they are giving a vacation where they are working or they are doing their business, at least you have to look into their household. So they try to assistance so that our offspring are going to be in a good way. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling this morning. We do appreciate your contribution. So we're still talking about creation of enabling environments for working mothers and also the responsibility on the father regarding ensuring that the children are well breastfed and achieving optimal and exclusive breastfeeding.
All right. Well, I think with this, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will continue with the program.
Welcome back. You're still on to Daybreak Extra on Trust Television, and we do appreciate your calls. You have contributed to the topic of discourse if it is relevant and necessary for us to create this enabling environment for working mothers to ensure that they exclusively and optimally breastfeed their babies. We have been able to take a couple of messages, and then we're unable to take some messages and even the calls. We do appreciate your contribution, and we have a caller on the line. I guess it's the last caller for the day, so let us have your contribution. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Can you hear me? Okay, I guess you may have to call back again because we cannot really hear you. So we'll want to take just one call before we wrap this particular segment of the program. So what do you think should be done? Do you think it is necessary for employers of labor or workplace management to create enabling environments for working mothers, and is it necessary? You know, we're talking about the World Breastfeeding Week and how it is relevant for babies to be properly breastfed. We have another caller on the line. I guess this is the last call for this morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Ali Saraji. I'm calling from Bauchi State.
Okay, let us have your contribution.
Breastfeeding has long been established as the best option for a mother and child.
Okay.
The guidelines are clear. Young children should be exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months of life with the introduction of nutrition adequately food. With breastfeeding continuing for the first 2 years or beyond that. Maternity protection in the workforce is critical to safeguarding the health of the mother and development of young children. So I'm very excited to hear that the government give the leave of maternity for 6 months. So,
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning, and the points you have raised are indeed valid points, and we have said them even before now during the course of the program. We're going over to a WhatsApp platform now to take some of the messages we have on them, and we have this message. I think most organizations have a staff room. Okay, most organizations should have a staff room for resting, break, or other related matters, which can be equally used as an option to breastfeed babies, while some staff come along with their nannies and leave their babies with them in their respective vehicles. Okay, that's a suggestion there. So then another message is from Zubair from Abuja, and then he says, I think once the maternity leave is over, the mother should look for a nanny or a child's nurse to assist in taking good care of the baby while she's at work. And these are some of the suggestions that we're hearing this morning regarding support for working mothers.
Yes, well, and with that, we've come to the end of this particular open line segment. Thank you so much for all your contributions. Thank you so much for all your calls. We really, really appreciate you. And do not forget that we'll be back again next week, same time with this particular segment for even more, interesting topics. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will be interviewing our guests. Stay with us.